And we'll look at the winds once again. Like you said, this thing is cycling at the moment.
I'm kind of hoping it's starting to trip over itself a little bit. You know, the heavier rain north and northwest of the evening shade. I'm kind of hoping, maybe wishing a little too much that it's started to kind of tread over some of that area that's been worked over a little bit, and the inflow starts to get choked off a little bit. But velocity still looks very impressive, and it's almost like it's reverting back to the storms that we had earlier across the rest of Region 8, where not a ton of lightning, hail core kind of fell apart a little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case, that it just becomes a low-topped storm that we have to watch. But as it moved into Stone County, moved through Stone County, and continues to move through Izard County, it's been showing signs of being the strongest storm of the day, and one that could cause trouble for several hours. But I would be thrilled if that does not happen and the storm fizzles to nothing over the next 30, 45 minutes.
Now, the velocity signature on this now is really starting to look messy. Not sure exactly what's going on with it right now, but definitely a messy-looking radar signature right now. For those of you that are just now joining us, let's give you a look at what radar looks like across the entire area. Well, maybe for some reason it's not working.
The radar button is the toughest one to get your arm to recognize.
I tell you what, we may have a rain-wrapped tornado right there. You see that little weak echo region right there, which matches right up with the velocity couplet. I think there's a tornado coming right into the Sage community right now, honestly. Let me switch something real fast. Now, we just now got word from the, I believe it's from Office of Emergency Management out of Stone County, and they have not had any significant damage reports yet, but that they were checking on that. The Sage area, though, as I said, I would be shocked. I mean, there's something there. There is a lowering of the of correlation coefficient, what we would call this. Don't know if it would be enough to say that we have debris there. But there is definitely something going on right there at Sage. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to widen out now. And there's a new radar scan coming in. Let's put a storm track on it. Still moving at roughly 55 miles an hour.
Yes.
Tell you what, I'm
40 miles per hour.
We'll put a pretty wide swath here, just so we. Stella at 7:20, Evening Star at 7:36. If it all holds together, near Williford, I would say between Williford and Hardy by 8 o'clock. So a little surprised we don't have the warning yet for Sharp County. I would say it's coming pretty soon. I'd say by 8 o'clock we're going to start seeing some Randolph and Lawrence counties under tornado warnings.
Looking at the energy outage map, which there's not much until you get back up towards Melbourne and Izard County, but just a very small number of outages near Mountain View and north of Mountain View. So can't rule out some damage, but it doesn't look like
widespread
a path of damage, right?
Definitely looks like some hail is falling with this storm also.
Yeah, we could see it from the Memphis radar. It's only a matter of time before either that melted aloft or it started to make it to the surface.
I still think if we have something, it's going to be right around the Sage community, moving up Highway 289 towards Zion. Here's evening shade over here in Sharp County. Has Little Rock said anything about expanding this warning?
They said as of 7:14, so about 8 minutes ago, they're going to keep the tornado warning going. And because of the inflow winds and the threat of a tornado, they plan to keep issuing tornado warnings downstream unless it loses structure rapidly.
All right, so here's the deal.
So I think they're probably waiting for it to get a little bit closer to that polygon.
There's going to be a tornado warning somewhere right through here. if you are in this area of Sharp County, kind of do pre-warning stuff. Kind of go ahead and start planning what you're going to do. Start getting things. Maybe get the pets inside. Maybe start clearing out the closet that you typically go in, because this is where the next tornado warning is going to be. In fact, they're going to need to issue it pretty soon, because this is in the Sage community. It's just a few miles back to the west, and I don't see this thing weakening. If anything, I think it's cycling right now. We're probably going to see it ramp up even more so here in just a bit.
And Ryan, the current tornado watch expires at 8, and they said at the top of the hour that they would likely need a new one to replace this one.
By the way, this tornado, if there is going to be rain wrapped.
Yeah, it's almost become a ball. I don't know if that's because it's getting further away from the radar or if it's kind of occluding a little bit, but it doesn't have that typical supercell shape. It's almost like a C shaped.
Yeah.
And curled up in itself.
All right, just got word also that we are on Jonesboro Radio Group. So if you're joining us on Jonesboro Radio Group and you're traveling, I know some people are traveling around for basketball. Let me kind of paint a picture for you. Most of Region 8 at the moment is dry. There's the new tornado warning.
There it is.
Most of Region 8 is dry. We've got one cell that is sitting in Izard County, and the top of the storm is getting swept over into Sharp County right now, where we've got rain in Sharp County. We've got a ton of lightning in Izard County coming into Sharp County, and now a newly issued tornado warning not only includes Sharp County, but it includes parts of Randolph County and parts of Lawrence County. So the northwestern parts of Lawrence County officially under the tornado warning also. Do you have the text on that one?
Radar indicated, so not confirmed, but it does have some hail with it, and this warning goes until 8:30 as it's moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So once it made that right turn, it's slowed down about 10 to 15 miles per hour and continues to move off toward the northeast, now entering Sharp County and eventually into portions of Lawrence and Randolph County through 8:30. So that's a pretty long tornado warning.
Yeah, it is. I think they're looking at this kind of like we are and thinking there's not a lot that's going to weaken this thing. So we're on air for the next hour for Sharp, Randolph, and Lawrence County also. There's the wind. Right there is the possible tornado, right at the end of my fingertip.
Big outage in power in the Sage area.
I think we just had a tornado touchdown.
688 customers.
I have a feeling we just had a tornado. What they say the movement on that is now?
Northeast at 40 miles per hour. 40
miles an hour. So it has slowed down a little bit. That's going to take it into evening star at 7:33. We're at 7:25 right now. 7:45 at Center. Sitka community at 7:53. If this holds together, Ravenden at 8:08. 8:08 in Ravenden. We've got some weather watchers up there also. They're going to keep an eye on it. I don't see anything that's going to weaken this thing. I just don't. I don't. If you're watching us right now and you're even up here in Corning, it's 7:26. Corning, all the way up there to the northeast. I wouldn't go to sleep at 8:30 or 8 o'clock or anything like that. I would watch this storm because I don't think it's going to weaken, at least not weaken much. I also think that we may have just now had a tornado. Let me zoom in the Sage community. We have numerous power outages. That looks like a tornado to me. Probably too far away to get too much of a look at debris. This thing's starting to take a little bit more of a right hook again. I've been saying it. I'm growing concern of evening shade. Even though you're due east and it's kind of moving to the northeast, this thing's moving around County Road 77 in Izard County. 77 in Izard County. 73 County Road 73 in Izard County. This is the county line. If you're in this area, you know exactly where I'm talking about. This is Bear Creek Road. This is Antioch Road. This is over in Sharp County. Izard County, Sharp County. County Road 251, Good Earth Pottery Road. Cool name. Watch out, take cover now. Carpenter Road. These locations, this is going to be really close to evening shade. I'm hoping that it stays out of the largest population centers, but there's still people that live through here also, all through here. Then it's going to cross over 167 at some point. Anything new on the power outages, or let me see if I've got anything new.
Power outages in the Sage area. Power outages in the Sage area continue to be.
Reason we look for power outages, a lot of times when you have damage and power lines go down, that's a pretty good sign that you definitely, especially with the lightning going down.
Yeah.
Lightning going down, and still getting power outages. I really have a feeling that we have a tornado right here, County Road 73 to 77.
Yeah, it's, the power outages jumped a little bit, but like I mentioned, there is that kind of dead spot where Entergy is not responsible there on the south side of Highway 9, but north of the river in Izard County. So very, very low number of power outages in the Mountain View area. In fact, single-digit customers impacted, but then it really jumps up when you go over towards Sage and Highway 69. Almost the entire Highway 69 corridor past Melbourne, between Melbourne and Mount Pleasant, and then down Highway 58 have no power right now.
So once again, if you're watching us, here's the tornado warning in Sharp County, but if you're watching us all the way up to Corning, Randolph County, this little northwestern parts of Lawrence County, we need you to start thinking about what you're going to do as this storm comes in, because I don't think it's going to weaken. That's not me being pessimistic. That's just, I don't see anything that's going to really weaken this thing. In fact, I think it's cranking back up right now. I think it cycled a little bit through here. There's a new radar scan. See how there's a little bit less reflectivity here, where you got the darker colors up and around right there. See how that matches up with the wind. Possible tornado right here. Kind of give you a look at the anatomy of this storm. Right there at evening shade, I think we have inflow coming in right here. Got that wrapping around through here with a possible tornado right here. Here's evening shade. This is going to be crossing over. Which river would this be right here? Is that going to be, look here.
What was it?
North of evening shade. What river is that going to be? It's going to cross right by the river north of evening shade. Actually, there's two rivers here. It's one that comes out of Izard County, then crosses over 167. It might be Strawberry River. Might be. Regardless, this is crossing over the county line here right now. Let me zoom back in. I think we got pretty good. I think we're locked in pretty good on where this possible tornado is going to be. It's going to be right crossing the line.
That is the Strawberry River.
Strawberry River. Okay. So here's the Strawberry River. And what is the river just south of there? Is that Bear Creek? Because there's a Bear Creek Road. I bet so.
Bet that's a good bet.
Strawberry River, maybe Bear Creek. Right through there is where it's crossing over the county line. Good Earth Pottery Road. It's eventually going to cross over Highway 67. Let me zoom down a little bit more and get you a few more roads through here. Yeah, there's Strawberry River Drive, County Road 251, Dry Bone Road, East Campground. This is going to be Shands Road, and that's Highway 167, main highway through there. So here's where 167 crosses Strawberry River. You probably know where that is. I know where that is. I've seen that before. This is going to be crossing between where the river is and probably 10 miles north of there. Now, I'm surprised we haven't had much damage reported yet out of this, but the power outages are concerning.
Yeah, that continues. And we kind of hit another, that may be North Arkansas Electric Co-op. Then we may be starting to get into their territory because
Yeah.
Horseshoe Bend area, Evening Shade, that's not on the Entergy map.
Let's see.
National Weather Service out of Memphis talking about how, things are quiet right now, but where we start to see that cold front push through tonight, where we still have pockets of instability, that's going to be where the storms are able to become severe again, and we'll be dealing with that for much of the overnight. In fact, probably during Good Morning Region 8, we'll probably have some storms still in the area, hopefully pushing out, but it's going to be a long night, and so have a way to get warnings right now. Make sure your phone's charged, it's on loud. Even if it wakes you up, it's going to be a good reason to wake you up because these storms are going to keep on coming. Now, once we get to the squall line, hopefully it becomes more of a high wind threat than a tornado threat. But once again, it doesn't really matter if the storms, if the winds are rotating or if they're going in a straight line. They can do damage and they can be deadly. So this storm system, this tornado warned storm, now right there over Highway 167.
There's almost 2 areas of rotation here. By the way, it looks like the threat, this is the county line right here. I think the threat has gone through. Still seeing that inflow right here, wrapping around through here. It's passing north of Evening Shade. Evening Shade, you're seeing some heavy rain probably. The tornado threat's going just to the north there. Right there is definitely the greatest threat, right? Mm-hmm. There. There's almost a little area right through here.
That's going to be right there on top of the Strawberry River.
Yeah. Izard County's now in the clear from the tornado. It has now crossed into Sharp County and fully into Sharp County now. Check, see if we got any more info here.
Kind of like Ryan mentioned last time with the next tornado warning, that's going to be northern Wards County and most, if not all, of the remaining portions of Randolph County, and probably a little bit into Clay and northwestern Greene County. These warnings have been pretty big and have been covering about an hour of time, so that would push it over the next few counties if this storm continues to have rotation with it, and I think it's a pretty high chance that we're going to be tracking this storm well maybe into Missouri. I don't think it's going to weaken anytime soon.
No, this is about to cross over Highway 167, so we're about to get into some more populated areas. Here's 167 right here. Here's where the Strawberry River crosses through. This is going to be really close to there. So this is going through some populated area. Good Earth, Pottery Road, Dry Bone Road, Taylor Road, where it meets up with the 167, and then East Campground Road. Let's see if the lightning has picked up any on this. Oop. Not much. Kind of still an odd looking storm.
It is. It's just a ball. It's it's kind of lost that typical supercell structure. But with the lightning count going down, it's almost like the shear has tightened that storm up a little bit too much there. And so, if you can pass along, a lot of people have been tweeting us that it was the Strawberry River. If you have anybody in that area, not only warn them that the storm's coming, but also see if they have power. Let us know if they're hearing anything, power outages, loud noises outside, a lot of lightning, anything kind of helps us when these storms are, especially at night. You just can't see anything at night, or weather cameras can see lightning off in the distance, but unless it's within 5 miles of that weather camera, we're probably not going to see a whole lot, even the ones that are a little bit higher up. And we don't have one. Closest one we have is Batesville, and we just have some lightning there off in the distance. So this is your storm system, and maybe there's a gradual weakening trend, but with the power outages back down near Sage, clearly it can do some damage, whether that was lightning, whether that was winds, whether that was a tornado. We'll have to find out at a later time what actually caused those power outages. But it tracked right where this storm system, or this supercell went, and that means that it's still capable of doing damage, whether it's lightning or wind. So Highway 58, eventually heading up to 412. Now, this is a little bit further south. Ash Flat, you're kind of right on the edge. So if you're at Walmart right now, it may be raining pretty good. If you're south of Walmart down on Highway 167, you've got some heavy rain, some lightning, probably some winds. Southeast of Ash Flat, back off towards Highway 58. That's probably where that rotation is really tightening up a little bit. Hardy, Cherokee Village, you're right there on the edge. You're probably going to get some heavy rain, some lightning, but I think this may slide down to the south, especially the Highland area, which, we were talking earlier how similar the path was to 2008. I'm sure there a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of worry kind of popped up, but I think this is going to stay a little bit further to the south and go more towards Highway 58 and then back up towards the Imboden area, the Ravenden area. That's kind of where this is heading next, up Highway 58, not Highway 412 yet. Eventually it'll cross Highway 412 and go alongside Highway 90, Highway 62 towards Randolph County, but right now it's in northern Sharp County and continues to move off towards the east. And we'll go back to the winds real quick. And again, once you see these purple little bands, that's what we call range folding. That's when the storm is getting so far away, the radar is sending a pulse of energy out, and by the time that pulse of energy comes back for the radar to kind of do its measurements and tell you how far away and how fast and how dense what it's detecting, it's already sent out a second one. And so you get these a little bit of confusion. It's kind of thinking, okay, maybe it's a little bit closer than it actually is. And so that's why you get these purple range folding bands. That's what we call them in meteorology in the weather world. But basically, the storm's very far away, and we're not getting very good data. We're getting data. We're getting something. It's better than not having radars at all. But when it's that far out, it's hard to actually tell what's happening on the ground. So hopefully we'll start to get some reports, and we can look on Google Maps and see if maybe there was a slowdown or a traffic moving a little bit slower to tell us if maybe there was a damaged path there across Highway 167 near the Strawberry River. But for the most part, it's just hard to get reports, especially at night in times like this. A lot of people are at home, and so if this isn't directly over you, you're not really going to be able to tell what's going on, especially with the hills in your way, the trees in your way, and we've lost the sun. So this is going to be right there over evening shade, continuing to move off towards the northeast. Speed was about 45 miles, and now this is really starting to impact Sibbstown Road up to Highway 354, 167, getting a little past you, but still close enough right there that I really pay attention to what's going on, and don't get out of your tornado safe spot just yet. Excuse me. They did trim the wording a little bit. So Izard County, you're completely in the clear. Sharp County, you're starting to see the storm move through Sharp County, so not in the clear, but more spots of it. Evening shade, you're okay. It's past you already. You're in the clear. This is moving off to your east and continuing to pass through. We'll look at debris, but I guarantee you we're not going to see probably anything conclusive or anything that's really helpful. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of noise. Lightning's maybe picked back up. That looks kind of the same though. Especially earlier when we looked at our weather camera, and things kind of look the same. So yeah, well, maybe a little bit of hail there on the south side of Ash Flat, Arkansas Highway 354. That's where the hail's crossing. And then when we go to the velocity signature, it'll be right back in here a little bit. Probably a wall cloud based on all the storms today. It was pretty easy to get a wall cloud today. Has been a little bit harder to get the tornadoes, thankfully, but with this storm system, like we've been mentioning, a little bit stronger than the little rotating showers we had earlier that didn't have a whole lot of rain. And for the most part, we're just wall clouds, and then quickly we're out of here as they moved off to the north. Ron, any reports?
No, just taking a look at, we've got chasers all coming into Lawrence County right now. So
I saw we had some in Ravenden area. So hopefully as this gets closer, Here's Williford. This is kind of the turn that you come up on, and sometimes there's a car turning left. It's also where one of the passing lanes kind of merges into the turn lane. It's a little confusing, but that's where Arkansas Highway 58 and 412 meet up, and then Ravenden's back off towards the east, a little bit closer to the Spring and Current River, and this is going to continue to move off to the east, closer to those communities. But right now, it's back down near Arkansas Highway 354, Sibbstown Road, Fairground Road, South Campground Road, Tower Road, Center Community there on 354, Whitetail Road, and just continues to move off to the east-northeast. Aaron, I have that Entergy map pulled up. Is there any more outages showing up? It kind of went into, I think, someone else's jurisdiction.
No more other than the down in Sage and
Yeah, you probably
Izard
get
County.
into
I was checking North Ark. There's a couple that are starting to pop up in Sharp County and North Ark, but that's just 1 to 2 customers affected at this time. But they're now starting to populate in to the North Ark outage map here as this storm is moving between Evening Shade and Ash Flat, and that's where we're starting to see some of those outages right there between Evening Shade and Ash Flat. They're on 167, but that's coming in slowly at the moment.
How's that Sage number? Has it grown any? Has it gone down?
It looks like it's about the same, about 689 customers without power
So
in Sage, and then the rest are back west of Mountain View.
we'll check with the newsroom here in
Yeah.
a second and see if we've heard anything from that area, if there's been any damage, if anybody's been able to find anything out in that area. But this area of circulation continues to move back off towards the east-northeast.
Zach, we're going to have to send you home in a minute. You got morning
Yeah,
show in the
it's-
morning. And
It's about that time, isn't it?
all right, I'll tell you what, yeah, they're still,
Maybe a little bit better. I mean, right there, though, that's...
yeah, I'm going to guess that's where we're going to have our issues right there.
I'm hoping it started. I mean, with the structure it's in, I don't think it can survive forever unless, just being a little bit further away from the radar site, maybe that's...
Be really
Kinda-
interesting to see. I mean, you don't really get out of the terrain issues for a while, so lightning's picking up.
Lightning's picking up. It's not really a ball anymore. So maybe we start to see curve back down, get that usual supercell kidney bean shape with a little tail at the end where you usually get your tornadoes. So yeah, I'm with you. And way down the road, next tornado warning. Actually, not super way down the road, but this one goes until 8:30. It's 7:44. You get closer to 9 o'clock, and this thing's probably going to be moving back into Pocahontas. We've already had one tornado warning this evening. You're probably going to get another one. I don't think they're just going to end this tornado warning with this storm by itself and the environment it's in, with this strengthening and as strong as it's looked. I really think we're going to get that second tornado warning, which would be the rest of Randolph County, Pocahontas, Maynard, Biggers, Reno, probably portions of Clay County, the northwestern corner of Greene County, and then, of course, probably, maybe not a whole lot of Lawrence County, but probably a little bit. You'll
Yeah,
at least
I'd
get the notification on your phone, even though it's probably going to pass to the north.
And those power outages there in Sharp County, they are taking a jump. We're now up to over 200, getting close to 250 customers. And it's right in that area where that couplet is, moving across 167 Evening Shade to Ash Flat. So we're starting to see more power outages come in out of in Sharp County from this storm as it moves through the North Arkansas Electric Cooperative area out of the Entergy area. But this will continue to move up towards Ash Flat, and Ash Flat and all that's up there. That's Entergy. So if we start to see more power outages up that way, then we will know there's something, at least strong winds that have moved
Something
through,
happened. Yeah.
moved through Evening Shade, between Evening Shade and Ash Flat.
Weather Service just now pointing out kind of what we were talking about just a little bit ago, that there's really kind of two areas of circulation. I'm going to slide this over a little bit so we get more of the Memphis radar. Let's see, right there. Really two circulations. That's the parent one that we've kind of been watching, and still looks pretty impressive, crossing over, I believe it's 254 right now. But almost a secondary one, which might start becoming the main one, a little bit to the east there. We'll have to watch that, and we'll have to see how that all plays out, because this one's kind of crossing north of Williford. This one would kind of go into the northwestern parts of Lawrence County before going into Randolph County. So that's why they have issued the tornado warning as far south as they have. It's north of Smithville. Imboden's not included in on it yet. However, wouldn't be surprised if they're not included. We've got a lot of storm chasers sitting right here right now. So we're going to get some information on this shortly with some ground truth also. Let's go to the lightning on this now. So I would not be surprised if that part of the storm doesn't become the more dominant part of the rotation as it goes into Lawrence County and to Randolph County. All right, so it looks like meteorologist Zach Holder is calling it a night. He will be back with us. Now, keep in mind, we've got this cell, and once this passes out of here, we're going to get a break. We're going to go back to regular programming after this passes through, and we hope that it continues to pass through without much issue. Once that's out of here, to kind of give you an idea of what's next, we're going to get a break, and then probably about 10:30 or 11, we're going to see a line of storms start coming in from the northwest, and that squall line will come through between about 11 o'clock in our northern areas to about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So Zach's going to go home, get some sleep. You'll probably see him back later on tonight, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. If not then for Good Morning Region 8. So meteorologist Aaron Castleberry and myself will be with you through this tornado warning as it continues to move to the northeast. The next warning that's going to be issued, so just to kind of start thinking ahead, is going to look something like this right here. The next warning is probably going to include the southern parts of Ripley County. A big chunk of Randolph County may still include a little bit of Lawrence County, and that is going to likely include the city of Pocahontas. Now, you don't have to take cover just yet, but maybe start thinking ahead about some of the things that you need to do. Clean out a closet, find your shoes, maybe if the kids put bike helmets on, baseball, softball helmets, start thinking ahead on that one also. Go back to the wind on this. It's looking ragged right now. I mean, just that's a good thing. It is a really good thing that if we can get this thing to continue. I mean, we still have rotation here. We still have a little area here and little area here also. But I think this storm is cycling. We've seen this before where it looks really strong, then it kind of starts reforming itself, and then you start seeing the more predominant rotation. So right now, we're probably going to hit a cycling period for the next scan or two.
We are getting some reports that out of Stone County, the Stone County Sheriff's Office reporting barns and shed damage. Several trees are down, but no reports of houses damage. And over in Izard County, the dispatch is being inundated with calls. They said they'll try to get back with us in the next 30 minutes.
That's not a good sign.
A lot of calls are coming in from Izard County. We do have damage back in Stone County from this storm.
Whenever you get 911 inundated with phone calls, it's probably not a good thing.
Yes.
Just based off of what we are seeing from power outages, from what we were seeing on radar and passing along to you guys, I think somewhere around the Sage community, we're going to have to probably check on.
And with North Arkansas Electric, with those people between Evening Shade and Ash Flat, it probably held together. At least the strong winds held together as it moved into Stone County. I put a little track on this storm on Max 2 just to give you it's on the leading edge of this storm. Coming into Imboden in the next Raven in the next 4 minutes, next 8 minutes in Imboden, 8:11 in Pocahontas, 8:22 in Reno and Biggers, and then 8:26 as it moves into Reno. So if you live in Pocahontas, you've got about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes or so. Biggers a little bit longer than that, about getting close to 30 minutes. But if you live in Ravenden and in Imboden right now, you need to be in your tornado safe spot if this storm moves. At least the leading edge of this storm, the leading edge, that new sort of area of rotation that we're starting to pick up on the eastern side, as that starts to move into Lawrence County and move out of Sharp County. But really this area of rotation, it's really messy at the moment. If we look at Max 2, it's just very messy right now. But still, if you live in from Highway 412 south back down through Williford and then moving back over into that northwestern tip of Lawrence County, Raymond and Williford, Raymond and Springs, you need to go ahead and take your tornado precautions right now. Just doesn't look as strong, I guess, at the moment. A lot of the rotation is broad, but there are still some areas of rotation in there that look to be that we need to keep an eye on as it moves through Sharp County.
All right, so I'm looking with the National Weather Service. See, I feel pretty confident they're going to issue a new tornado warning farther to the east shortly. They are issuing a new tornado watch. The watch is set to expire in about 8 minutes, and they're going to extend that watch for this area until probably at least for the next little bit. I'm not sure if they're going to issue that watch. I'm not sure if they're going to issue that watch based off this one or for the squall line later on. But, in fact, let me back out of here for just a second. Let's see. Has that squall line started forming yet?
It has it's starting to form back off towards the west.
Let's see. Let me back out here. So you can kind of get a wide perspective. There we go.
You got some scattered showers out ahead of what looks like to be the main line that's moving into western Arkansas, but you still have these scattered showers across the Boston Mountains, fixing to move into places like Branson and towards Mountain Home. But that main line is starting to develop back to the west of Fort Smith, and that will be what will march across the state heading into the overnight hours.
Now, what's good, if you notice, there's not any severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings or anything with this. So that is very good. The tornado warning continues for us here, but what is coming later on tonight, hopefully will just be a line of storms that comes through. That'd be nice. Let's go back to Max 1 if we can. And if you notice, back on the back side of this, look at this. Kansas City is getting ice right now and snow. But all of these storms back to the west, yes, they're going to be loud. Yes, they'll wake you up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But there are no warnings with those right now. So there's a little bit of good news there. Lightning is starting to pick back up. You see that?
Yeah.
That is an indication sometimes that we could be seeing maybe some strengthening with this storm.
It looks like the National Weather Service, they're going to go ahead and keep that tornado watch for Green Clay, Dunklin, and Pemiscot counties until 2 a.m. They're going to drop Craighead, Poinsett, and Mississippi.
Good call.
At 8 o'clock.
All right, so they're dropping Jonesboro area, Craighead County, Poinsett County, keeping it for Green?
Green, Clay, Dunklin, and Pemiscot.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so they're going to extend the watch, the tornado watch, farther east as this storm continues to march through. And then I'm assuming after this storm marches through, they're going to probably cancel the tornado watch for now.
That's what I expect.
All right, so 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. All right, still trying to see what all else is coming out of from the National Weather Service on this. I will say at this very moment, there's that it may be trying to tighten back up right there on the Sharp County, Lawrence County line. Yeah, right through here. Once again, we have a bunch of chasers watching this storm right here. The next 2 or 3 scans are going to be really important. We get a new scan about every 90 seconds now. We had the rotation west of here. Started to look like we were getting a new rotation, kind of become the parent rotation. It's just to the south of Williford. I mean, just barely. And then the next scan, as it crosses over 412, is going to be really interesting to watch. New tornado warning coming now. Now that one is farther down to the west, isn't it? Back out of here just a second.
Yeah, that's going to be back towards Harrison.
Oh man, way up here. So I spoke too soon about the not having severe weather back to the west, because there's a new one there.
Also, from North Arkansas, that outage just keeps going up. We're over 1,000 out without power in between Ash Flat and Cherokee, Ash Flat and Evening Shade. Starting to get a few people without power on outside of the Sage area there with Entergy, now with North Arkansas Electric. So, still a lot of people. And then if there's something that's on the ground or any strong winds or anything that's moving out of Sharp County, and Lawrence County. Williford, Ravenden, and Imboden are all on Entergy, so we will see if they lose power off of that storm as it moves out of Sharp County into Lawrence County. Probably do a little jog between Sharp, Lawrence, back into Sharp before it moves into Randolph County.
Getting reports of power out at Evening Shade. Getting conflicting reports on whether Sage had damage or not. Some say yes, some say no. So maybe some parts were damaged. Is what it looks like.
Yeah. Now this is an unconfirmed report. We got a viewer that said about 15 minutes ago, and this would probably line up to where we had those two areas of rotation back along the Strawberry River. That they say they saw two tornadoes go north of the Strawberry River near Evening Shade, which aligns up with where that power outage is between Evening Shade and Ash Flat. And it also kind of lined up, if you were looking at the Memphis radar, there was kind of two areas of rotation there in western parts of Sharp County as that storm moved out of Izard County. So maybe a little bit of damage. We'll need to check in with the Sharp County Sheriff's Office here in the next little bit. Let this storm that's trying to move out of the county finally move out of the county so they can get a little bit of a breather and figure out what may have happened there between Ash Flat and Evening Shade.
All right, so we're going to find out in the next, like I said, the next couple of scans. It still looks a little messy here. If there's some rotation, it's going to be right here in the northwestern parts. There's a new scan coming in. Northwestern parts of Lawrence County and parts of Sharp County and Randolph County. I'm torn on whether they're going to continue the tornado warning or not. They may not. Be nice if this thing would weaken. I'll be honest, I had my doubts that it would weaken at all. Still think that there's a chance that it's cycling right now, and then in the next couple scans be a little stronger over here in the western parts of Randolph County. Still a pretty strong storm, still a lot of lightning with it. Tell you what, I'm going to step off and look at the Pocahontas weather camera real fast. If we can go to the Pocahontas camera, I'll steer it. Definitely seeing some lightning on it.
And they've gone ahead and extended that tornado warning into
So
Randolph County, so this does include Pocahontas now.
Right.
Tornado that's located near Ravenden, 12 miles east of Cherokee, moving towards northeast at 45. So this does include Pocahontas, Maynard, Ravenden Springs.
There's lightning coming in right now. By the way, I got another report of damage in Sage. Sage is the area where I think we're going to end up having some damage. All right, there's the lightning. Woo, boy, lightning's really picking up right now. Really starting to pick up as we look out to the west. So this storm, it's not done yet. Let's go back to radar and take a look at the new tornado warning that is coming in. There it is. It includes Maynard. It includes Pocahontas. It stops at the moment at the Clay County, Randolph County line. It does include the northwestern parts of Lawrence County. And we're way out here on the radar also. So it's tough to get a good look on this. But like I said, we got a lot of storm chasers right through here, and we're going to continue checking power outages also. You got to look at the power outages. That kind of gives us an idea sometimes of where we have had some damage also. Now, of course, lightning can also cause power outages. But when you start getting some substantial damage, a lot of times that is due in part to telephone poles or utility poles knocked down and such. So, let me move this around a little bit. We'll put a storm track. Actually, I'm going to widen out just a bit. What was the movement on that, Aaron?
45
Okay,
to the northeast. I've got a storm track in Imboden. In the next 2 minutes, you need to be where you need to be right now in Imboden. 810 in Burdell.
Let's go to max 2 real fast.
819 in Pocahontas. 830 Maynard and 842 in Success. If this holds together, moves into Clay County. So you have 10 minutes if you live in Burdell, and that's going to be that Burdell is between Imboden and Pocahontas there on Highway 62. Pocahontas, you have 20 minutes to get to your safe spot. You need to be making that trek now. Maynard, 30 minutes. Success, 40 minutes. So if you live now in Bowden, in Ravenden Springs, you need to be in your tornado safe spot now. This area of rotation is, right now, it's over in Ravenden. So right there in that little nook there, if you travel along Highway 63 out of Bowden, that little nook before you move into Sharp County, that is where Ravenden is located. That is where we're seeing that area of rotation. In Bowden, you'll be next. Then we'll move into Burdell, Ravenden Springs. You're in this track as well. Pocahontas, and then up Highway 60, 62, 67 up to Highway 115 up to Maynard, then 62 up to Reno and Biggers. And Success, this is going to be in your neck of the woods within the next 30 minutes or so. Taking a look at lightning again with this. Lightning is starting to pick up. It's not as heavy as it was a while ago as it was moving through Sharp County, but we're starting to see a little bit more lightning pick up there around Ravenden Springs. It's still far away from the radar, so if you look at velocity, you've got to really know what you're looking at. It looks messy, but just as far, how far this is away from the radar there in Memphis, how far it is away from any of the other three radars in the area, it's going to be hard to tell where that rotation is, but you can see where the reds are and the greens are right over the area of Ravenden. So Ravenden Springs, Bowden, Pocahontas, this is coming into your area right now.
Now, have there been any more power outages reported out of kind of that northern parts of Sharp County yet? Or has it all been kind of down there to the south? It's
all been to the south.
Yeah. Let's go back to Max. There we go. I don't wonder, just kind of going by the power outages and really what we were seeing on radar. I think if they find damage, it's going to be right through here. That's going to be the area. Since then, since this has moved up into northwestern parts of Lawrence County and Randolph County, radar through here hasn't been nearly as scary looking as when it was just to the east of Melbourne around Sage, that area, and then farther back to the northwest also. But as far as Region 8 is concerned, this area here from Sage to just north of Evening Shade, that's where we have the power outages. That's where we've had the damage reports. That's where radar looked at its most impressive. And then since then, we haven't seen as much power outages, damage reports, and radar hasn't looked that impressive. So we're hoping that this trend continues as it moves into Randolph County also. All right. So if you're just now joining us, latest tornado warning is Randolph County, does include Pocahontas. I think the worst of it's going to slide just to the north of Pocahontas. Now, I'm not confident enough to tell you to not get in your tornado safe spot. I still think anybody in that polygon does need to be taking cover right now. But if you notice here, we're hoping this just slides to the north. Hopefully, it will go into some very unpopulated areas, but we still have people that live through here. So if you know anybody that lives from Maynard to Pocahontas, Ingram, Dalton, Warm Springs, or Ravenden Springs, rather, we need you in your tornado safe spot. Still some rotation right there as you take the highway toward Ravenden Springs. That's probably the greatest rotation that we have right now. And as I said just a little bit ago, we have some storm spotters sitting in Ravenden right now. So as that rotation is passing through, if there's anything there, then I'm assuming we would get some reports there.
And we're starting, and it's trickling in with North Arkansas. We're starting to get a couple of outages, not many, but a couple of outages south of Williford. So this is on down Highway 58 between Williford and Poughkeepsie, getting a couple of people without power. Not a lot of people at the moment, but like it was a while ago when it was back towards Evening Shade, it trickled in, and then all of a sudden you had 1,000 customers without power. So that's going to hopefully it's just one or two customers there south of Williford. But if we track this back, we've just seen power outages from Mountain View all the way now to Williford with this storm.
Little worried right now for Ravenden area. If you notice right here, right at the end of my finger, is the greatest rotation. That red there, it's winds coming away from the radar site. Green toward the radar site. One of our weather watchers in Ravenden just now tweeted 3 minutes ago, in closet, hear roar. That's all
That's
I
not
said.
good.
In closet, hear roar. Hoping that that's not what we're seeing right here. But this is passing north of Imboden. It's going to be crossing Highway 90. I believe that's probably 11 Point River.
Yeah, that'd be 11 Point, I believe.
Okay, and so it's going to be crossing there within the next 5 to 10 minutes.
North Arkansas Electric. They are saying that they have crews out right now, going down the feeder line there between Ash Flat and Evening Shade to figure out what happened to power there. So if there's any damage, they will run into it before too long, because with over 1,000 people without power there between Ash Flat and Evening Shade. And we're also starting to see more people without power north of Sage off of North Electric, and then more people are without power south of Williford. It's going up slowly, but you can now track this basically from Mountain View through Sage, Melbourne, Evening Shade, up to Williford now. And if they're hearing at least a roar in Ravenden, then that's either some very, very strong winds, or there is more than likely a tornado on the ground now between Ravenden and Ravenden Springs, right there on the Lawrence, Sharp, Randolph County line, and that's going to continue to move east towards the 11 Point River and should stay north of Pocahontas, but would go between Pocahontas and Maynard within the next 20 minutes or so.
Now, the sirens are going off in Pocahontas, as they should. There's a tornado warning there, even though there's some indications that the threat hopefully will pass north of you. But still good to have the sirens going off there as they are, and still good to be taking cover there also, because as we learned earlier, remember earlier the circulation was going to the northeast, and as they do sometimes, when they strengthen up, they'll start taking this right turn and start going more due east than to the northeast. So, Pocahontas, even though, like we said, we think it's going to do this, kind of go this way, don't let your guard down. Still worried about, there's a new radar scan coming in.
I was looking at
Right there.
reflectivity but now it's to the east of Ravenden. It's not as pronounced as it was one scan before, but there's a little bit of a bounded weak axial region.
Right there, yeah.
And a little bit, the scan before, it was more pronounced than that, but that shows that there's at least strong rotation in this storm. There more than likely is at least a small tornado that just went between Ravenden and Ravenden Springs. That's moving up towards Ingram, towards Maynard. Should stay north of Pocahontas, but if you live in Pocahontas, better safe than sorry with this storm. Stay in your safe spot for the next 15, 20 minutes, and you'll be able to come out.
Does look like lightning's starting to go back down a little bit. By the way, did you notice when we widened out, more tornado warnings back here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably for that one storm that's moving out of Arkansas, out of the Little Rock, that'd be Little Rock into Springfield.
All right, so a lot of lightning with this storm. If you look out in Pocahontas right now, there's a lightning strike even outside of the storm. A lot of lightning to the northwest right now. Pocahontas, you're probably hearing the thunder right now. The tornado threat has now left Sharp County and Lawrence County. So Sharp County, Lawrence County, you're done right now. In fact, they're probably going to trim this back just a little bit here in just a minute, because here's the northwestern parts of Lawrence County. You're cleared now. Just a little bit of rain left over here in Sharp County. This is all in Randolph County at the moment. You look at the wind, not overly impressive, but still looks like something right through here.
And just to give you some times, Attica 8:20, Biggers 8:34, 8:38 Reno, and if you live in Corning, this will be moving into your area by 8:52. So you've got about 40 minutes if you live in Corning to start thinking about where you're going to go with this storm. Hopefully it falls apart before it makes it to Clay County, but this storm's been cycling all evening long. It pulse up and then it'll die, pulse up and die, but it's also moving into an area where they've seen a little bit more rain and a few more thunderstorms this afternoon, especially through Randolph County into Clay County and eventually into Butler and Ripley County. But it's on top of the 11 Point community right now. Attica 820, 834 if you're in Biggers, 838 Reno, 852 in Corning. And then just going back to look at power outages, they continue to tick up there in Sharp County. They continue to tick up in Izard County from earlier. Entergy, just looking at the Entergy outage map at the moment, not seeing the outages in places like Williford, Ravenden, or in Bowdoin, but that's something that we are going to keep an eye on because that storm went right through that area. Hopefully, if there was a tornado back towards the south of Williford, it lifted before it made it to Ravenden and Ravenden Springs. But if you live in central parts of Randolph County, if you live Pocahontas to the north, let's act like this is a tornado on the ground as it continues to move off towards the north and east, at least for the next little bit, just to see the trends of this storm. It looks like it's weakening, but we still have at least broad rotation.
Yeah. All right. So has the Weather Service said anything more about this storm? It's also good to not get much info because if you're not getting a bunch of reports, then
here's a report. This is out of. Got a couple of reports. The fire department, there's no power and evening shade. A firefighter in Ravenden reported a possible funnel just north of Ravenden on Highway 90. We're getting reports of 2 houses hit on Jack Schoolhouse Road. That's east of evening shade. 5 people hurt. This is coming from. Oh man. We're starting to get maybe some injuries. So. If the newsroom is listening, we need to go ahead and get a hold of Sharp County, see what they have, especially around the evening shade area.
I'll tell you what, I'll go check with them real fast.
They're going to continue with this tornado warning until 9 o'clock for this storm. It's located over Ravenden Springs at the moment. As the storm continues to move off towards the north and east, we do have this tornado warning that remains in effect. We're looking at this area right here. Here's Maynard, here's Pocahontas. It's going to the north of Pocahontas, but let's go. If we zoom in just a little bit, we'll show you right now. This is Highway 90 that runs from Pocahontas back to Ravenden Springs. Here's Ingram community. Here's that area where we would maybe see a little bit of rotation right here, just north of Highway 90, north of Highway 93, Dalton, Ingram. Be in your tornado safe spot right now if you live in Maynard as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the winds in this storm. And you can see it's very, very messy, but if we're going to have anything, it's going to be right in this area. Right here. Here's the 11-Point River. The 11-Point River where Highway 90 crosses the 11 Point to head back towards Ravenden Springs. Highway 90 that comes on the north side of Pocahontas. That's Highway 251, I believe, up to Ingram. If you live in that area, and then there is Maynard. That's going to be our next biggest population center. That will be Maynard. But there are several people that live out here into the central parts of Randolph County. Not as well organized as it has been in the past several minutes as it was back in the Sharp County and Izard County, but we're still going to watch this area more than broad rotation, but it's really, really spread out right now. It's not as scary as Brian said as it was a while ago. Checking in to see if we have any more reports out of Sharp County.
We just heard back from Sheriff Counts in Sharp County, and he has had some reports, but they can't get to everyone right now because of trees down. That's a bad sign. They're trying hard, and they're going to get their rescue efforts in there pretty soon, and we're going to get a report back about 10 minutes.
So if you do live there in Sharp County, at this time do not go out towards out towards Evening Shade or even out towards Williford. Let emergency crews get out to these areas to check on what's going on. We're getting unconfirmed reports of injuries near Evening Shade. There's a lot of power that's out. Trees and power lines are down across Sharp County this evening. So if you are in Hardy and you know people that live in Evening Shade, if they live between Poughkeepsie and Hardy, don't go out at this moment. Let the emergency crews work their way down there and try to get to some of the areas that were hit by this storm there in central parts of Sharp County. Other than that, not getting any more reports of damage at this time, but we are getting some bad data there. We'll switch back to reflectivity. this storm is not as impressive as it has been, but still, if you live in Maynard, if you live in northern parts of Randolph County, this we can go ahead and call the all clear for Pocahontas. This is going to go north of Pocahontas. This is going through Maynard right now. This is now passing to the east of Raven and Springs. But if you live in Reno, Success, and then even into southern parts of Ripley County, Pointer and Naylor, the National Weather Service in Paducah may go ahead and we'll have to see if they'll issue a tornado warning. We'll have to also see if Memphis will issue a tornado warning for Clay County. But for the next little bit, if you do live in Corning and Success, if you live in Naylor, Donovan, be thinking about where you are going to go if you do have a tornado. This storm has a history of producing at least wind damage, at the very least, all the way from Mountain View into Sharp County, and then farther south and west back into west central Arkansas as well. Power outages still going up in parts of in Sharp County. Not getting any reports of power outages, more power outages out of Entergy at this time, but it could be taking a little bit of time to get these things to start to click back in.
All right, let's. By the way, I want to clear something up real fast. Your phone may have gone off and said that there was a tornado warning for Sharp, Lawrence, Randolph, Greene, Clay, and Dunklin in Pemiscot County. That is a watch, not a warning. That is a watch. So the watch, as Aaron was saying just a little bit ago, has been extended, not a warning. So we'll get that corrected here shortly if that did go off on your phone. The tornado warning that is in effect right now is for Randolph County. And really, Randolph County is the only county right now, as you look out in Region A, is the only county right now that is under a tornado warning. Other counties, Clay County and officially Greene County and Dunklin County under a watch, but chances are this is going to stay, actually definitely, stay north of Greene County and probably north of Dunklin County also. In fact, it's just going to kind of clip parts of Clay County. Last report we got was a funnel cloud report coming out of the Ravenden area, and Randolph County deputies also reporting the possibility of a funnel cloud also. Looking at radar right now, and I know this is really far away from the radar site, it doesn't look too concerning right now. Not saying we don't have a tornado, not saying we don't have a funnel cloud. I'm just telling you, right now, this looks a lot better than when it was down to the southwest where we have the damage and the trees and the injuries being reported right now. If you're in Ingram, if you're in Maynard, if you are in Success even, you need to start thinking about maybe taking cover. But Ingram, Maynard, maybe even Dalton. Looks like it's going to stay north of Pocahontas now. Ingram and Maynard, though, and Biggers area, Reno, go ahead. Next 20 to 30 minutes, get in your tornado safe spot, get as many walls between you and the outside, and just kind of stay put for a little bit, just to be safe till this storm passes. This storm has had a history of putting down a tornado, even though at the moment right now it doesn't look as impressive. Let's take a look at the lightning within the storm right now. I do like the trend that it kind of looks like it's weakening. I don't want to let our guard down too much because, as you know, the storm earlier, the first storm that we had, looks very weak. It's a small storm, and it possibly put down a tornado near Cache. So we're not going to let our guard down just yet on this one.
No, just because the backside of that storm, you just can't trust one of these storms once they have put down a tornado, or at least what we think may be at least strong winds, if not a weak tornado. So especially on the back end of these storms, this could start to reorganize, especially south of Dalton as it moves up towards Maynard. It still looks like it's on that weakening trend, but it's something that we want to. If you do live in Maynard, if you do live in Dalton, if you live in Pointer, just keep this in mind. Just keep that in mind that these storms have been pulsing up and down, but with the sun going down, we're losing the heat of the day. That's going to cut down on some of the instability we have in the atmosphere. This area also saw some showers and thunderstorms and tornado warnings just a couple of hours ago. So hopefully that helped work over this part of the state as well. But that's something that we just want to keep an eye on as this continues to move through northern Randolph County. This warning remains in effect for Randolph County until I think it was 8:30.
Yeah.
Or this actually is until 9 o'clock. So
This warning out here is?
yeah,
Yeah.
for Randolph County, it's until 9 o'clock. So we're going to stick with this until either they cancel the warning or it finally dies off as it moves into Ripley and Butler County.
Have we already passed this one along? The reports, 2 homes heavily damaged?
Yeah,
okay.
We've got that. We do. A storm spotter did see whenever the storm was crossing over Highway 167 north of Evening Shade, saw power flashes and tree debris as it was moving over that area. So that's going to line up with most likely.
With radar data, I would assume Little Rock National Weather Service is going to go out and they're going to survey that damage, and more than likely, I'm gonna say that we probably had a tornado north of Evening Shade. Okay, so Pocahontas, you're looking good right now. This is all in the northern parts of Randolph County. Heavy rain north of Maynard. Lightning strikes all the way down to the Dalton area. We're going to hang with it for a little bit longer, but I'll say it is starting to look a lot more ragged. In fact, I'm going to check in with the Weather Service and see what they're going to do with this warning.
And while he does that, I'm just going to put a quick track.
Let's go to Max 2 then.
Yeah, let's go to Max 2, and we'll put a quick track on this as it. Put it on the leading edge as it moves to the northeast, as it moves into Ripley, Clay, and Butler counties. Just to give you a heads up, if you're in Pointer, that's in southern parts of Ripley County, 824. Success, the front edge of this storm will start to move in at about 8:33. Naylor at 8:45. Neelyville, 8:51. And Corolla, there in southern Butler County, by 9:02. I asked the National Weather Service office there in Paducah to see if they're going to extend this. They haven't said yet. But the Butler County EMA is sending a couple of spotters down to the southern part of the county to watch this storm come in. So folks in Neelyville and Naylor in that area, they have somebody that will be watching the storm as it moves into South Missouri. And that should be moving into South Missouri here in the next little bit. I'm going to widen out just to show you an overview of Region 8. If you live anywhere else than northern parts of Randolph County, southern Ripley County, you are dry at this time. We're starting to see some showers move into places like Baxter County and Howe counties, but that's with the main system. And then you have that lone tornado warning that's just to the north and west of Mountain Home. That's the only other storm that has any sort of tornado warning. We're starting to see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings go into effect to the north and east of Fort Smith along that line that's starting to move into western Arkansas. And that's going to be that's going to be with the main front that will eventually move through, and that's going to bring us an end to all of our severe weather later on tonight and early tomorrow morning, and also bring in some cooler air. It's not going to be like last week. It's not going to be in the 60s and 70s when you wake up tomorrow morning and head off to school. We're going to be in the 50s tomorrow as those storms move in. We got some light showers around Paragould, Corning, but this is the only storm in town at the moment. Northern parts of Randolph County still has some lightning with it, not as prolific as it has been, and it's a ragged storm. But we've seen a couple of ragged storms today.
Yeah, I was about to say, as soon as you look at a storm like this and you start to think, okay, this is winding down, then you get some kind of report. So we're going to stick with it just a little longer. And then hopefully go back to regular programming, hopefully at the top of the hour, if not before. In fact, I'm checking with the Weather Service now. In fact, if this thing crosses over into Paducah's National Weather Service area and they don't continue the warning, then, of course, we'll go back to regular programming also and then just watch for the storms to come in later on tonight. Haven't had an update from the Weather Service. They're probably looking at this also thinking, okay, it's lost a lot of its intensity. And hopefully it's just weakening. It's just a plain old thunderstorm. Let's go back to Max 1 for a moment, and we'll show you what radar looks like.
This is some good news, at least from the Memphis standpoint. They just went ahead and issued what is called a special weather statement for Clay County. So as the storm moves into Clay County, so they're not going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning even with it as it moves towards Success. So
probably just little gusty winds from Success, maybe north of Corning. That'd probably be about it. Yeah. Well, hopefully we're starting to, and I haven't looked at a lot of the parameters to see if the atmosphere is getting a little bit more stable anyways, but I would imagine as we're going farther into the evening hours, we should start to lose some of the instability also in the atmosphere. You probably stepped outside today and you immediately just thought to yourself, this doesn't feel right. And that is just kind of that instability. That's that moisture. That's just the humidity kicking up also. That really picked up this afternoon. That helped fuel some of the storms. And then also just the winds within the atmosphere as you go up through the atmosphere. It's conducive for severe weather today. Hoping that threat goes down a little bit, especially the instability part, and you can kind of feel that's changing a little bit, but that cooler air is starting to work in here. And with these air masses colliding together, then, hey, we got thunderstorms this evening.
And they've gone ahead and they've canceled the tornado warning for Randolph County, and Paducah's not going to extend this into Ripley or Butler County, so
we're done.
We're done.
Right now.
That storm has now become more elevated and outflow dominant.
Yep. All right, so here's the deal. It is 8:27 right now. We do have, if you notice, a tornado warning outside of Region 8. I think that storm also is weakening. We're going to watch this storm as it goes through Ripley County and Butler County, but my thinking is this thing's going to stay. It's below severe limits. It's going to behave. And then in about an hour and a half, we'll have Region 8 News at 10. Any damage reports that we have coming in, power outage reports, we will pass that along. And then later on tonight, we do have some storms coming in as the colder air works in. I don't think it'll be like what we had earlier. I don't think we'll have tornado warnings, but we may have some storms that have severe thunderstorm warnings or some gusty winds. We'll watch that. We'll give you an update on it. New data is going to come in between now and Region 8 News at 10. Just a little tease also to ahead. We got some colder air coming in later this week, and there are some models that show that we're not quite done with wintry weather. So we're going to have a look at your 8-day forecast also coming up on Region 8 News at 10. But for now, we are going to rejoin regular programming here at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, and we'll be back with Region 8 News at 10 in about 90 minutes.